Anderson scores. On the receiving end of Stabler's pass and on the escorting end for George Rogers' third period touchdown. The Saints built up a 17-3 lead, but it failed to ruffle the feathers of the Birds of Philadelphia. The Eagles have played the rest of the league like eager contenders for a high draft choice. But against teams from the NFC West, they have been terrors, owning victories over the 49ers, Falcons, and Rams. When Ron Jaworski hit Harold Carmichael on this tying touchdown late in the fourth quarter, the Eagles seemed set to make it a clean sweep of 4. But a missed Tony Franklin field goal in the final seconds of regulation gave new life to the Saints' first ever playoff drive. 5 minutes and 30 seconds into overtime, Morton Anderson, who had already connected for a 52-yarder, cleanly booted a 50-yarder through the crossbars to give New Orleans a 20-17 victory. It was the third time this season that Anderson had kicked a last-second or overtime game-winning field goal. The Saints are only one victory away from being this year's version of a Cinderella team. But when Cinderella stories are written about the 1983 season, the Saints may very well take a back seat to the continuing soap opera saga of John Elway, the Baltimore Colts, and the Denver Broncos. The first Elway-Baltimore duel in the Sun was a decided draw. The Colts lost their first game against Denver, but it was not Elway who beat them. Last Sunday in Mile High Stadium, the Colts came out determined once and for all to make Elway pay for his springtime spurning of Baltimore. With this Mike Pagel to Bernard Henry 40-yard scoring strike plus 4 Raul Alegre field goals, the Colts took a commanding 19-0 lead into the final period. But this was merely a prelude to some fourth-quarter fireworks in the sky, set off by the man labeled the franchise in Denver. A touchdown strike to number 84, Clint Sampson, was the beginning of a furious Bronco comeback that continued 6 minutes later when Elway escaped a blitz just in time to find Jesse Miles for this 26-yard score. On the day, Elway completed 23 of 44 passes for 345 yards and 3 touchdowns, his third coming with just 44 seconds remaining. For Gerald Wilhite and the Denver Broncos, there was a good cause for jumping for joy. The Broncos' 21-19 victory sealed an AFC wildcard berth, marking Denver's first appearance in the playoffs since 1979. For John Elway, well, in 1 quarter of play, he managed to silence some critics, stick it to the Colts, and secure a place in the playoffs in his rookie season, all of which were good reasons for him to be smiling. Kellen Winslow caught 14 for 162 yards, but it would take 79 points, 55 first downs, and over 1,000 total yards of offense to decide this one. San Diego blew out to a 24-14 lead, and then Bill Kenny got a hot hand. Carlos Carson caught 7 passes for 165 yards. But if you want to hear some staggering stats, check out Bill Kenny's. 31 of 41 for 411 yards and 4 touchdowns, as he very quietly became only the 5th quarterback in NFL history to pass for 4,000 yards in a season. Early in the third period, Kenny gave his arm a breather and let Theodis Brown, number 27, rumble 49 yards to cut the Charger lead to 3. defenses in the locker room and Dan Fouts hurt, Ed Luther took over and hit Wes Chandler to give San Diego a 38-24 third quarter lead. With less than 2 minutes left and with both defenses on the team bus waiting to leave, Kenny hit Willie Scott to tie it at 38. Finally and mercifully, Rolf Benerschke jammed a field goal through to end the track meet in San Diego's favor, 41-38. So an end came to a scintillating football game and to the season's 15th week. One more week of action in the final 10 will all be selected to square off in the playoffs on the road to Tampa Bay.
It's a good turn in there, and they were trying to zone him off, and he got into the track and caught the ball.
What's the one that cost you the game?
Well, I tell you, that ball's at the 20-yard line, and Mike is not a fumble, or he hasn't fumbled, and that was an unfortunate situation right there. Great position.
All right, here it is.
Well, as you see, like I said, the extra yardage, people say, why didn't you run it or get extra yardage? This ball's off wide to the right, and it wouldn't have, people talking about hindsight. There is hindsight. The extra distance wouldn't have been a factor.
Now, this play coming up, which sets up the field goal in overtime, everybody in the building knew what was going to happen. That's why he had all that time. How come the defense is playing him soft like that?
Well, the guy made a great move on us. He went down, took off to look like he was going to the post for the home run, turned, and got back outside where there was no one to help out there, and that was it. But that's a long kick he had to make there. We were, defensively, that's a 51-yarder. He kicks a 51-yarder and 52-yarder, and that was the game.
Probably the biggest emphasis will be placed probably fortifying the offense.
For a quarterback in the first round. Not a vintage year for quarterbacks, but who is the best right now?
Steve Young is sitting down there on what is really, for the most part, somewhat of an average football team that ends up 10-1 and going to the Holiday Bowl, primarily due to the fact that he has such unique qualities as an athlete and a quarterback specifically.
Eagles also need a wide receiver to complement All-Pro Mike Quick, like Penn State's Kenny Jackson, or Nebraska's All-America wide receiver Irving Fryer. Very versatile, very versatile.
Fryer is wide receiver, as a potential nickel-type back, catching the ball coming out of the backfield, as a return man. And he's tough, and he can block downfield. He can do a lot of things.
The scouts know all about talents like Nebraska running back Mike Rozier, SMU safety Russell Carter, but the key to this year's draft, the middle rounds, where the Eagles have not done well in recent years.
The key, and it's going to really be a test for the different scouting staffs across the country to see what they're going to be able to do in those middle rounds. I think that's the key. If you can do relatively well in the middle rounds, you've had a good draft. But it won't compare with last year's draft overall, no.
But there's not one player out there who's going to come in and dominate, no matter what the scouts say. There isn't one player who will turn an also-ran like the Eagles around and make it a Super Bowl contender overnight.
Of course, you're in a unique situation. You lose the game this week, and chances are you'll draft 4th. You win the game, and you might draft 8th. And
get the season over. That's wrong. This team does not take that approach. We're going down there to fight like heck, to get a win, battle like hell, and hopefully, get some momentum going in the next season. This team is not a football team that's trying to play out the string, and we're going there to get a win.
Marion Campbell's wardrobe provided by Kent Mill Clothing, Clifton Heights, PA.
looking live at the Superdome in New Orleans where the Saints take on the Los Angeles Rams in a battle between two teams that need a victory today to get into the playoffs. For the Saints, this is the biggest game in their 17-year history. Never before have they been this close to the playoffs. But the Saints are led by a man who is no stranger to playoff pressure. Their veteran quarterback, Kenny Stabler. He's been over that track many times. Also live, you're looking at Soldier Field in Chicago where the Bears play host to the Green Bay Packers, another team with a shot at the playoffs. As usual, winter has come early to Chicago. The temperature at Soldier Field right now is 3 above with a wind chill factor of minus 36. Only real men like to play football in this weather. No key sheeters need apply. And we are now looking live at Busch Stadium in St. Louis, where it's the Cardinals against the Philadelphia Eagles. Two teams that have been playing well lately, but who got their act together too late to become playoff contenders.
Anderson, hit once, still going to the 35. Anderson has a first down and spins his way to the 25-yard line. Making the play, Wes Hopkins and Roynell Young and Otis Anderson has a first down.
And watch the guard Terry Steve, number 68, pull in front right here and get a kick-out block on 41, Randy Logan. Anderson took it up inside and picked up the big yardage.
A 17-yard gain for Anderson and the Cardinals. He comes out of the game and Stump Mitchell gives him a breather. The Eagles have had their hands full against some of the top rushers who have gained over 100 yards this year. Anderson right now is getting 28 yards on 4 carries. First and 10 on the Eagle 25. And here's Stump Mitchell. Stump Mitchell to the 21-yard line. Anthony Griggs inside makes the tackle on Stump Mitchell, who is the second leading rusher on the Cardinals. He's been bothered by a toe injury, but he has made his name as a return specialist. Oliver and Michael Williams trying to go outside, and he can't go anywhere. David Galloway, perhaps the most improved defensive player for the St. Louis Cardinals, who has become a force up front and a good inside pass rush, makes the play.
Well, it's good to have help from Lee Nelson, the strong safety that time, who leads the team in tackling.
We'll run down the St. Louis Cardinals defense for you momentarily. Second down and 13. Eagles at the 27-yard line. Screen pass. And it was Mike Quick, who was hit immediately by Wayne Smith, the right cornerback.
See how roles change over the years and over seasons. Dick, that's a kind of quick screen out there that the Eagles used to run so successfully with Harold Carmichael, and now they're going to Mike Quick with
25-yard line and a 7-0 lead with 8:25 remaining in the fan and dumped Neil Lomax for a loss. Well, Green Bay and Chicago in a key game today. They're tied in the first quarter. Of course, the Packers need to win for any help, and the Lions are hoping Green Bay loses that game.
Chicago, of course, is out of it. The Packers can get in and win that Central Division. If the Lions lose, they can also get in as a wild card if New Orleans loses. So they have to win today.
Second down and 13. Greg Brown from Kansas State made his first start against the Giants. Won that right end position. This time Randy Love goes outside, and Greg Brown is there once again. Third-year free agent. In the important game, the one we're really watching in the NFC today, New Orleans leading the LA Rams 7-0. Of course, the loser is out of playoff consideration totally.
New Orleans is one of those teams that really in charge of their own destiny. If they win this one, they become the wild card team.
And of course, the 49ers are sitting home. If the Rams lose, San Francisco clinches the NFC West title. Third down and 15 with 7 minutes and 20 seconds to go in the first quarter. 7-0 Cardinals. Lomax steps up, and his pass is in. Busy today. At least he doesn't have to talk. Second and 12 at the 22. Not much anyway. He's got a far decision. 5:50 remaining in the first quarter. 7-0. George goes back, and he swings it out to Huey Oliver. Oliver with a little room, but that doesn't mean much.
coming up to make the play is Lee Nelson. In light of all of the hoopla given to Michael Quick, who's gone to the Pro Bowl, has made two very tough catches today.
Great catch, too. Now, Wayne Smith, number 44, the cornerback, goes for the ball right here. I think he thinks he's going to get an interception, but he gets a late start because he slipped, and then Harold reached out, one hand, pulled it in. We talked about still having value. That was a great play right there.
Lee Nelson and Benny Perrin make the stop, but a 22-yard gain, 1st and 10 at the Cardinal 26. Hughie Oliver. And Charlie Baker wrestles him down at about the 20.
Wilbur Montgomery, it's been tough for him all year long.
At the 18. Oliver hit. And it stops. It appears to be a 38-yard attempt. He is 15 of 25 for the year. Ron Jaworski is holding with 41 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Nearly blocked, and this kick is just under the goalpost with a crossbar. The kick is no good.
Franklin had it on the money right here, as you'll see, but because of...
Merry Christmas. Yeah, and a Happy New Year, too. Yeah.
And this holiday, may there be bass under all your lily pads. May all your pockets be full.
Feliz Navidad. Peace. We wish you everything you always wanted in a Christmas. And more.
You know, I'm glad they asked me to do this commercial. Merry Christmas.
It's the final Sunday of the season to see two teams that really want to play hard and win, and that's not
that Pro Bowl season he had. He's over the middle right here, and he bull rushes, gets a little penetration, and gets his hand up at the appropriate time. 11 sacks for him this season. That's a career high.
And that 6'8" comes in handy on plays like that. So it's 4th down. Glenn Young is back for the Eagles, and Birdsong punting for the second time. He got off a 42-yarder in his first attempt. And gets away from him. And he gets rid of it. And the ball bounds towards midfield and goes out of bounds at the 43-yard line. I suspect we're going to see a lot of plays like that today, Wayne.
No question at all. There's a guy right there that's going to the Pro Bowl. He's a Pro Bowl punter, and you know he's real happy that this kick didn't go on his stats before they selected the Pro Bowl. Bad snap from center by Carlos Scott, number 1. It was low and off to the right, but no one could get back there because of the snow anyway. So he picked it up and kind of side-wheeled it over here and did a pretty good job with it. But he's going to be in Hawaii playing his next football game. He's going to like that better than this.
For sure.
In the Army, you learn about helicopters from the ground up.
Check the gyros, Fry.
I'm on it, sir.
But you don't really learn a skill until you've learned to use it under pressure.
That's it, Fry. That's what I'm here for, sir. You can do it in the Army.
Reunity and burgers go nice. Reunity and tacos go nice. Chicken goes nice. Salads go nice with Reunity on ice.
Pure and natural Riunite is the world's best loved imported wine. Now there's new Riunite Doro. It's delicious.
Everything's nice with Reunity on ice. Reunity, Reunity.
Wayne Walker was talking about Hawaii. Well, Mike Quick will start, and Roy Green and Carl Birdsong will all be there. The NFC Pro Bowl selection from the teams today. Meanwhile, the Eagles have a 1st and 10 on the Cardinal 43, trailing 7-0 early here in the second quarter. Ron Jaworski back at midfield, and he loops it to Hughie Oliver. Oliver trying to get away and does. 1st down, Philadelphia, as Hughie Oliver carries it to the 31-yard line. Ball in the air and keep it alive passing. So it backfired on them, and the Philadelphia Eagles avoid the shutout as Ron Jaworski hits Mike Quick with a touchdown pass on the final play of the game, and for Mike Quick, his 13th touchdown reception of the year.
You know, that ties Tommy McDonald's club record at 13.
McDonald in 1960, when the Eagles won a world title, and in 61, had 13 touchdown receptions. 20-yard pass, and Tony Franklin's conversion is good, and the ball game is over, and the final score is 31-7. The Cardinals win it. And a kind of a bittersweet finish to this game for the fans and for the St. Louis Cardinals.
Turf wearing that red number 72. A great career ends here today. And we saw the start of some other ones, and Mike Quicks and Roy Greens that are going to be around this league a long, long time. Randy Logan over to say hello. Looks like Dan Pastorini there, with the stocking hat on, to come over and say hi to Dan Dierdorf and give him his best.
Well, this is the time you want to say your goodbyes, and of course, we saw Carl Hairston before, and you know, Dan Dierdorf is retiring, but so is Stan Walters, as you mentioned earlier, the left tackle, the veteran, who has played 12 years, first with Cincinnati and then Philadelphia. Final score 31-7. We'll be back here in St. Louis.
One of the most miserable conditions we have seen all season long. 31-7, and the Cardinals close out with some pretty strong football, and they could be a team to reckon with next season. Now, Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Terry Bradshaw could not play in this game because of that arm injury. He was in uniform, and he was on the sideline all day. Brian Sipe had the hot hand. And here he is early on, under pressure, going deep now, and they beat Mel Blount. Rocky Belt gets in for the touchdown. That was the first of 3 for Sipe. Then watch the punt return right here. The Steelers have got an opening. And finally, it's our guy Matt Barr there using his leg to bring down the would-be return man. Sipe again, looking for Ricky Feature this time. He buys some time, moves to the right, and hits the man in the corner. Now, Pittsburgh lost the game, but they had a bright moment. And here he is, the great Franco Harris.
Going over 1,000 yards at that particular run, Brent, makes it his 8th 1,000-yard rushing season in his career, the NFL record.
All right, let's bring the Greek in here and talk for a moment about Brian Sipe, who engineered that victory for the Cleveland Browns. Jimmy, you had said prior to the start of this game that the players in Cleveland had been down on Sipe. I wonder if this might change some of their opinions.
Well, he won the ball game, rather. Cleveland won the ball game, but he is leaving the club.
You think he will sign with the New Jersey Generals?
He's already signed.
All right,
let's not make any bones about it.
Greek's the guy keeping up with signatures. I'm doing the best with the scores right now. All right, Denver and Kansas City right now, and the Chiefs have hammered the Broncos. 48-17 is the final score. And it was cold in that city, too, Cross. Have you got some information on this?
Cold indeed, Brent. Chill factor minus 28 degrees. John Elway puts one up, is picked off by Lucius Smith, and he goes 58 yards the other way for a Kansas City touchdown, and they took an early 7-0 lead. Bill Kinney brings his club upfield. Watch what he does with the ball. He has a hot hand today. Number 88, Carlos Carson, latches onto it for his 7th touchdown of the year. 14-0 Kansas City. Kinney again from the shotgun goes to number 81, Willie Scott, who makes a great catch. Another Kansas City touchdown. Season's over for these people. Well, there's lots of partying to come, right?
You know, that could have been a big loss for the Denver Broncos, now that I think about it. They could have wrapped up the home field advantage in that wild card game next Saturday, so that is a big loss for them. Seattle now could move in and steal that. Now, we have got the Atlanta Falcons, and they've been beating up on the Buffalo Bills. 31-14. They are in the 4th quarter of that game. Bartkowski has thrown a couple of touchdown passes. William Andrews has scored twice for the Falcons in that game. Houston and Baltimore started out as a slugfest between a pair of field goal kickers, but the Colts behind Frank Cush have taken charge, and in the 4th quarter they lead the Oilers 13-3. Jimmy the Greek reporting that Chuck Studley is out as the Houston coach no matter what happens in this game today. The Rams and New Orleans, and what a tough way this was for Bum Phillips and the Saints to bow out. 26-24 was the final score. The Rams go to the playoffs, and so too to the Detroit Lions. We're about to bring another network in. All right, welcome to those of you who just watched that dramatic conclusion between the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers. As a result of that game and this game right here, the Rams go to the playoffs, and so too go to Detroit. And the players down there in New Orleans did not help out. Now, Kenny Stabler started at quarterback, and he got the Saints going with that touchdown pass to Jeff Groth. For Groth, his first touchdown catch of the year. Then Dickerson fumbled, but Stabler back in the end zone was sacked by Jack Youngblood. And suddenly it was a 7-2 game. And then Irv, the key moment, Russell Erxleben with the punt. Big play. So Dave Wilson stepped in, and he led the Saints to a touchdown. But then on a subsequent drive, it was Nolan Cromwell stepping in. 42 yards for the touchdown. The Rams had the upper hand. It looked like they were going to close out and put Bum Phillips and the Saints in the playoffs for the first time. And then it was Mike Lansford, the 42-yard field goal. And that sealed the fate of Kenny Stabler and the New Orleans Saints, and you cannot lose a game any tougher than they did that one there this afternoon. Now, we have a couple of other scores. This one just underway. The Chargers and the Raiders are tied at 7. They are in the first quarter of that game. And another key game, of course, going underway in Seattle. If the Seahawks win, they will play Denver in the AFC wildcard game. It is 3-0 right now. And Tampa Bay has scored first on Detroit, but let me emphasize it no longer matters what happens here. Detroit has clinched the title in the NFC Central Division. They go in as a division winner. The Rams also go. They can be no worse than a wild card. And the NFL today will continue with a live interview with Howard Schnellenberger, the man everybody wants to coach. That'll be coming up in just a moment.